4 years ago, we started building our dream property. But before we could start building our tiny home or raising animals, we needed some creature comforts like a shower and hot water. That's because we lived in our Sprinter van, and although it had everything we needed to live here, like running water, a bed, and a kitchen, it didn't have a hot shower. And we all know that's a must. So we decided to build what we call the Off-Grid Bathhouse. That way we could wrap up everything we needed into one small structure. A comfortable and maintenance-free toilet, power for lights and a fan, a sink for washing and cleaning up, and a shower with nice hot water. And not to mention something that could handle our harsh winters without the pipes freezing. So I'm gonna take you on a tour of our off-grid washroom, show you all of the details, and I'm also gonna share how you can do this easily yourself. The first thing we needed was a layout, and we came up with this design because we actually had a metal frame kicking around, and we actually used that to build the frame of this outhouse. Looking back, I would just frame it normally. But it did give us restrictions on the size, which gave us a really good idea on how to lay it out. On this end, we would put our pit toilet. In the middle where the door is, we would have our vanity storage for batteries and toiletries and stuff like that. And then on the far end, we would have our water system down there and our shower and hot water heater. And because it's fairly small, it also keeps the cost down, which I'll get to at the end of the video. In terms of dimensions, it's about 16 feet long, 5'10" wide, and almost 11 feet tall on the backside. Next, we would need a toilet design, and we knew we wanted something really simple. We didn't want to go composting or incinerator. We basically wanted something that was waterless and zero maintenance. And the best thing that there was a pit toilet. It's exactly like it sounds, a pit in the ground. So we dug our pit about 4 feet deep. We put our structure around that, and then we put a metal barrel in. This was just a DIY to basically keep the ground from caving in. Then what we did was obviously we built most of our structure. We built this toilet box around it. We sealed it because I'm sure you're thinking, well, what about smells? We have had this washroom for 3 years. We use it full time. We have not smelt anything from this pit toilet ever inside this washroom. And that's thanks to one secret. I'm sure you can hear the humming. There is a duct that runs to the outside with an old Xbox 360 fan of all things that I jerry-rigged to put in there, and it's sucking air out 24/7, 365, and it keeps it really nice and fresh in here, and you never smell it. It's an outhouse design. It's just a glorified outhouse with everything else that we need. I bet you already have some questions at this point, so you're welcome to comment below and I'll get back to them as best I can, but also I have a resource at the end that may help. Well, we mentioned we have a fan in there, which means we need power, right? It's an off-grid outhouse, so it's not getting power from the grid. So what is our power source? Let's take a look into that, which is under here. Under the sink is basically our utility setup for the whole washroom. We have our power, our heating, and our water. So our power for the washroom to supply the lighting and the fans is 12-volt batteries, 2 old AGM batteries for 200 amp hours. It's the old system that came out of our van. We put a really nice Battleborn battery setup in the van. So we decided to recycle these and keep using them for the off-grid washroom. A solar charge controller for the solar on the roof, which keeps everything topped up all the time, especially in the summer. And then a fuse panel for all the 12-volt accessories, as I mentioned, lighting and fans. Now, while I'm under here, I might as well mention that we also heat our washroom using this heater. We go down to minus 30 degrees Celsius in the winter for most of the winter, and that's pretty darn cold. So we need something that could keep it warm in here, keep from the pipes freezing, and keep it comfortable. We need something that was low draw in power, so we went with a diesel heater. We have one of these in the van as well, and basically it uses very small amount of electricity with drips of diesel, and it heats this whole washroom up very nicely the whole time to whatever temperature you want. It's actually really fantastic. Next, we need water, obviously, for our off-grid washroom. And you can see we have lots of running water. That's hilarious. I forgot to turn the switch back on when I was working on it. Anyways, we have lots of water in our off-grid outhouse. And that's because we decided to put a cistern in the ground. A cistern is basically a water storage tank. We took a 1,000-liter tote, we put it right next to the building right there, and we put it into the ground. That way it wouldn't freeze over the winter and we had water all winter long. It comes through the ground, underground, to up into the building just below here, and it feeds our faucet, our hot water heater, as well as our tub, thanks to a little 12-volt pump, and I'll show you that right here. If we remove this little bench seat here, it gives me access to where all of our plumbing is. And you can see I have a tiny little bladder tank here that basically keeps water pressure when the pump's not on. And then I have a tiny little 12-volt pump down here, which is taking from the cistern, and it's powerful enough to pull it about 20 feet away from the cistern up through the ground and keep feeding the faucet and everything like that. Once the water comes up through our 12-volt pump, it gets pumped to our faucet or our shower. And in order to have hot water, what we do is we pump it to our on-demand hot water heater, which is a propane one. So it doesn't take any electricity other than a couple of batteries in the bottom, and uses propane to heat up the water for our shower and our faucet. Now, you have to be careful with this because it's actually combusting. It's got carbon monoxide and other things coming out the top, so you need to vent it. So what we did was we put a 12-volt fan up there right above it, and it sucks out all the harmful gases. And it works really well by just turning on the fan there, and it sucks everything out. You can't smell anything. No toxic gases come in here. It literally just goes straight out, so it works great for our shower. And because we went with the clawfoot tub, I'm a bit taller, so I had to still fit in here somehow, and the ceiling was too low. So I ended up notching out the ceiling and going with the roof pitch, which in turn allowed me to put an extra window for some extra light, and it's actually super comfortable in here to shower in. There's always some really nice light coming in through our other window there, and it works really well. Our plumbing is incredibly simple as well. Just plumbed like any other house would be. But what we did was we ran it into the ground into a 3-inch pipe, and we built a French drain so that it could drain into the ground properly. Now, because we're not putting any harmful chemicals or anything like that down the shower or the sink, this works well. We're just basically putting water and environmentally friendly soaps to shower in. So it was a good option and it works perfectly. In terms of insulation, we tried to do the best we could because of how cold our winters are. And what we actually did was we did a DIY spray foam kit for all of the walls, ceiling, and floor. And in retrospect, I probably wouldn't do that again. It's pretty expensive for the DIY kits. I'd probably just use fiberglass insulation. No matter what, this diesel heater is gonna heat this well, whether it's fiberglass or spray foam. And I think doing it again, I would just use fiberglass. In terms of finishings, we want to do something super inexpensive. We built everything ourselves, but we wanted it to look good. We ended up finding some reclaimed plywood that we used for all of the walls, the vanity, and obviously the rest of it. And it actually worked really well. We just put finishing touches here and there, like trim, mirror, like a fake countertop using vinyl. Just little things that would make this look a lot better, last longer, and feel good to use all the time. So what was the cost of the off-grid bathroom? Well, we kept expenses the whole time, and we want to keep that really low. We tried not to go to Home Depot for much new stuff. We went to reuse stores to get everything we could secondhand. And it actually worked really well and kept this final price very cheap for what it is, which is really unreal, considering there's solar, batteries, electrical, plywood, plumbing, lumber, there's everything in this. So here's the breakdown. I'm not gonna share everything, but I'll share the final cost as well. The lumber and sheathing was $600, spray foam $800, fasteners $80, windows and doors $200, house wrap $80, roofing was free, where we needed screws, which was $40, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. The total cost of everything that we spent in Canadian dollars was $2,700. Now that is a really good price for everything that's in here, and it's totally possible because that's what we did. You'll find these spots where you can find stuff free or really cheap. Sometimes you have to buy stuff new, but it's totally possible. I had so many people interested in building their own off-grid bathroom that they asked me to make plans, and I did get around to making them. So you can find them linked below. It's everything from how to build the structure to the pit toilet. There's 3D drawings, there's 3D views of everything. Everything you need to basically build this here with a lot of notes that you've learned today. And I decided to keep it really cheap and really accessible for a lot of people. It's only 10 bucks. So if you want to check it out, I'm not trying to sell you on it or anything, but if you need extra help, it is linked below and you can find it there, and it's helped a lot of people so far. And that's it for the off-grid washroom. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you comment below if you have any questions on something that maybe I missed, or you have a deeper question into more depth and I can help you out there. Also, make sure you subscribe and give me a thumbs up. The thumbs ups really help for the channel and my videos, and they help get it to some other people who want to see this as well and learn from it. So in the meantime, enjoy, and I'll see you on the next video.